MSW Media.
So yeah, now it's clean up on aisle 45 time. And for a long while yet, it is going to be clean up on aisle 45.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 257 of Clean Up on Aisle 45. It's Wednesday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. It's 2025. Hey, I'm Allison Gill.
Happy Christmas Eve to all who celebrate and those that don't, because today is Christmas Eve, whether you celebrate it or not. It's Harry Dunn here. All right, today we're going to talk about CBS and how Bari Weiss spiked a 60-minute report on CECOT prison in El Salvador, along with the fallout that's followed. We'll also discuss the split verdict in the government's case against Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan.
Yeah, boo. They found her
Boo.
guilty. I'm so mad about that. Plus, we have new information about Trump's Justice Department going after the prosecutors of January 6th insurrectionists and how actual defendants, for people who attacked the Capitol, are consulting with the DOJ. We knew about Mr. Weiss getting a job at the DOJ, but there are now others that Reuters is reporting. Plus, Trump has officially endorsed the Pillow Man for Minnesota governor. We knew he was running, but now he's got the kiss of death with the Trump and Mike Johnson endorsement. But first, we have some patrons to thank. And given what's happened at CBS this week, it's more important now than ever to support independent media. So thank you very much to our new patrons, Anton Brenner and Carol Hopkins, and our Hall of Famers. Is he dead yet? Somebody must have changed their name to that. Je suis fatigue. Greg Robin Smith, a.k.a. Benjamin Franklin Live. Scott Gregus, or Gregis. Joan Qualls. Patty B., Accidental Bird Sanctuary founder. Law offices of Redacted, Epstein, and Redacted, hugely criminal attorneys. Boy, was that a prescient name. As we're seeing all these redacted Epstein files come out. We're going to talk about CBS in a second. But man, they released, I found out this morning from a resolution filed by Chuck Schumer to sue the Department of Justice. They only released 9,700 pages of Epstein files on the 19th of December.
Yeah.
9,000.
9,000.
Under 10,000 pages.
AG, how many pages are there? Or what?
At least 300,000.
300,000. That's insane.
At least. Yeah. So the survivors have written a letter to Congress. Chuck Schumer's filed this resolution to trigger a lawsuit against the Department of Justice to find out what they hid from us. And then, of course, Reps Garcia and Massey are talking about everything from impeachment of Pam Bondi to using inherent contempt, which is still something we haven't used for 100 years, where we jail people until they comply with the law in Congress, where Congress has that power. I think that the Supreme Court will require a law to do that, the Congress to pass a resolution to get that done. Ted Lieu actually introduced a resolution for inherent contempt back in 2021 when Jim Jordan refused to come in and testify before the January 6th House Select Committee. But that never went anywhere. So I think they should give it a shot, though. I mean, the Supreme Court will stop them, but that's not a reason not to throw the punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Make the Supreme Court stop them. I'm all here for it.
Yeah. But massive scandal at CBS. And I wanted to cover this in depth here on Cleanup on L45. In a move that drew harsh criticism from its own correspondent, CBS News abruptly removed a segment from Sunday's episode of 60 Minutes that was to feature the stories of Venezuelan men deported by the Trump administration to what the program called a brutal prison in El Salvador. It's called CECOT prison. And this is a story that's coming to us from the New York Times.
Yeah, CBS announced the change 3 hours before the broadcast, a highly unusual last-minute switch. The decision was made after Bari Weiss, the new editor-in-chief of CBS, requested numerous changes to the segment. CBS News said in a statement that the segment would air at a later date and needed, quote, additional reporting.
Yeah, they didn't get Stephen Miller's point of view.
Yeah.
And the Times might go into this later, but apparently Bari Weiss was like, well, when 60 Minutes reached out to this administration for comment, they said no comment. We're not going to run a story without a comment. But if she had taken 5 seconds of journalism school or actually worked in journalism, she would know that no comment is a comment.
That's a comment in itself.
It
Exactly.
is. Now, Sharon Alfonsi, the veteran 60 Minutes correspondent who reported the segment, rejected that criticism in a private note to CBS colleagues on Sunday, in which she accused CBS News of pulling the segment for political reasons. This is what she said. Our story was screened 5 times and cleared by both CBS attorneys and Standards and Practices. That's what she wrote in her letter, a copy of which was obtained by the Times. It is factually correct. In my view, pulling it now, after every rigorous internal check had been met, is not an editorial decision. It's a political one.
Ms. Weiss said in a statement late Sunday, my job is to make sure that all stories we publish are the best they can be. Holding stories that aren't ready for whatever reason, that they lack sufficient context, say, or that they are missing critical voices happens every day in every newsroom. I look forward to airing this important piece when it's ready.
Now, Ms. Weiss was appointed in October after David Ellison, the owner of CBS's parent company, Paramount Skydance, acquired her independent news and opinion site, The Free Press. Mr. Ellison's acquisition of Paramount earlier this year was approved by the Trump administration after Paramount paid $16 million to settle a lawsuit that Trump had brought against 60 Minutes. Mr. Ellison is currently making a hostile bid to outmaneuver a rival company, Netflix, to acquire the media behemoth Warner Brothers Discovery. He's been courting Mr. Trump's support for this bid, but the president has used recent episodes of 60 Minutes to suggest he's displeased with Mr. Ellison's stewardship of CBS.
The segment was focused on Venezuelan men who were sent by the Trump administration to the Terrorism Confinement Center, a notorious prison in El Salvador. In a news release on Friday prompting the segment, CBS News said that Ms. Alfonsi had spoken with several men now released from the prison who described the brutal and torturous conditions they endured. Ms. Weiss first saw the segment on Thursday and raised numerous concerns to 60 Minute producers about Ms. Alfonsi's segment on Friday and Saturday. And she asked for a significant amount of new material to be added, according to 3 people familiar with the internal discussions.
Now, one of Ms. Weiss's suggestions was to include a fresh interview with Stephen Miller, a White House deputy chief of staff and architect of Trump's immigration crackdown, what I like to call ethnic cleansing, or a similarly high-ranking Trump administration official. Ms. Weiss provided contact information for Mr. Miller to the 60 Minutes staff. Ms. Weiss also questioned the use of the term migrants to describe the Venezuelan men who were deported, noting that they were in the United States illegally, according to 2 people.
So it sounds like she has some bias already going into it. In her note, Ms. Alfonsi said that her team had requested comment from the White House, the State Department, and the Department of Homeland Security. If the administration's refusal to participate becomes a valid reason to spike a story, we have effectively handed them a kill switch for any reporting they find inconvenient, Ms. Alfonsi wrote.
Yeah. So this was basically Bari Weiss and CBS saying, if you reach out to the White House and they say no comment, you can't do your story.
That's what it sounds like.
Then the White House can just say no comment on whatever they don't want published. But that's horrific consequences here.
Yeah.
Quote, we have been promoting this story on social media for days, Ms. Alfonsi added. Our viewers are expecting it. When it fails to air without a credible explanation, the public will correctly identify this as corporate censorship. We're trading 50 years of gold standard reputation for a single week of political quiet. I care too much about this broadcast to watch it be dismantled without a fight, she wrote. Reached on Sunday evening, Alfonsi said, I refer all questions to Bari Weiss. Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah, rightfully so. Let her take the heat, right?
Yeah. You got a problem with this? Go talk to the person who spiked the story because she politically doesn't like it.
And they need Steve, like you said, they need Stephen Miller's spin on it and provided the information for Stephen Miller.
And we don't want to call them migrants because they're illegal. They aren't.
Yeah, it's definitely political. She came into this with her own agenda. It's clear about the stance of immigration.
Yeah, and being here, as many judges have pointed out, being here without status is not a crime. It's not a crime. It's a civil matter.
Yep. Sounds legit.
Yeah. All right. We've got more to cover. I found this story, the story we're going to cover here in a minute in Reuters, Harry, and it has to do with more January 6th insurrectionists advising the Department of Justice on their retribution of prosecutors who worked on January 6th cases. We'll talk about that after this quick break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. All right, this story is some new reporting from Reuters about the insurrection. It's very personal to me because I know a lot of the prosecutors and people involved, these players in this story. So the Capitol riot of January 2021 set off the largest criminal investigation in Justice Department history. For federal prosecutor Ashley Akers, it was a defining moment in a 7-year career spent untangling complex cases from wire fraud to domestic terrorism. She helped put away dozens of rioters, including some who swung bats and beat police officers. Then the tables turned. On his first day back in office, Donald Trump granted clemency to every single criminally charged January 6 rioter. Akers resigned. And as rioters celebrated their freedoms, a chilling threat arrived. One so grotesque it still lingers, said Akers. An online message invoking Seven, the 1995 thriller, imagining her decapitated head in a box.
Yeah. Now, Akers and other prosecutors who handled Capitol riot cases face a new threat. Reuters has learned that pardoned January 6th rioters have been advising Justice Department officials on how to pursue and perhaps prosecute the very prosecutors who helped put them behind bars. Inside the Justice Department, as we know, the Weaponization Working Group, which is led by Ed Martin, a former defense lawyer for January 6th rioters, is drafting a previously undisclosed report that is re-examining the Capitol attack. That's according to 4 January 6 prosecutors and a review of government documents. When presented with Reuters' findings, a department spokesperson confirmed that the report is being drafted.
Yeah, scary. Martin and other Justice Department officials have held talks individually with at least 3 people charged in the Capitol attack since Trump's inauguration, the 3 pardoned defendants said. During those meetings, the former defendants urged officials to pursue charges against prosecutors, FBI agents, and judges who presided over their cases. One ex-defendant drafted a simple indictment at the request of the Justice Department official.
Yeah, that sample indictment was ridiculous, too. I looked at it. Now, it just contained a bunch of stupid politically charged language.
Yeah. Probably sounded like a Twitter post.
Pretty much. Now, in recent months, at least 3 people pardoned for their roles in the Capitol attack, along with their allies, have shifted from airing grievances online to speaking directly with Justice Department officials. That's according to interviews, a review of social media posts, and government documents. Advocates for the rioters have met with Ed Martin at least 4 times since February, Harry. First up, Troy Smocks, who owns a radio station in Texas, was convicted of threatening violence related to January 6th and later pardoned. He told Reuters he spoke in July with a Justice Department official and was asked to put his ideas in writing. He produced a memorandum and, at the official's request, a draft sample indictment that named 26 federal judges as potential targets. Quote, I hope they read it, and I hope that it shakes them in their boots. That's not how that phrase goes, but whatever.
Unbelievable. Pardoned rioter Trennis Evans entered the Capitol through a broken window on January 6th. He, too, has met with Ed Martin and other Justice Department officials, he said in an interview. He expressed confidence in Trump and said he believed justified action would be taken by the Justice Department in response to January 6th. That's all I'm asking for. The Justice Department spokesperson said Martin may have met him at some point, but does not recall a formal meeting.
Man, I remember when it was us who were saying all we want is justice for the 140 cops that were beaten that day. And now the rioters are saying, we just want justice. Fuck you. I'm sorry. Fuck you.
Literally. Yeah.
In June, Martin met in his office with another pardoned rioter named Brian Mock, who served prison time after being convicted of assaulting 4 police officers on January 6th.
Yeah.
During the meeting, Mock said he accused his prosecutor, Mike Gordon, and FBI agents involved in January 6 cases of committing crimes. He also claimed that judges had orchestrated a campaign to deprive defendants of their civil rights. You beat 4 cops, my bro.
Yeah. What civil rights are you complaining about?
Now, afterwards, Mock said Justice Department officials requested more information from him and responded by sending them memos as well.
Yeah, 2 members of Martin's weaponization group also phoned a January 6th defense lawyer twice in August, seeking ideas on what wrongs to investigate, the attorney Carolyn Stewart told Reuters.
That's weird. Like, they have to call up January 6th defendants and say, hey, do you got any ideas?
What should we be investigating right now? Stewart said she urged them to examine the conduct of Capitol Police during the riot, whether prosecutors withheld evidence that could have cleared January 6th defendant, and possible misconduct during the arrest. It's such BS, man. Like,
that's not how prosecution works. You don't call up your pals and say, hey, we're trying to prosecute people. Do you got any ideas for what? You prosecute people for when they break the law. Like, for example, when you attack and assault 4 police officers at the Capitol.
Whatever happened to, like you said, following the evidence? And I'll say this over and over. Everybody saw what the hell happened. Like, that's why the conviction rate was so damn high and for all the January 6th defendants, because all you had to do was press play in the courtroom.
Like, and when you say high conviction rate, it's 100%.
Yeah, excuse me. It's not 99.999. It's 100% conviction rate.
I mean, some weren't convicted of every single charge that was brought, but there were convictions in 100% of the cases that were brought. Yeah. And right now, in the last 8 weeks, Justice Department in D.C. has a 79% conviction rate.
Is that I'll have to do some research, but I'm sure that's one of the lowest it's ever been.
That's unheard of. It's usually 99.5%.
Yeah.
But in the past decade, it's 99.5%. A judge put this in a memorandum order. Good. In the last decade, it's been 99.5%, but in the last 8 weeks, 79%. More than 1 in 5.
So much winning. So much winning.
That is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for the Department of Justice as an institution.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've burned it down. We'll keep an eye on this. Obviously, I'm interested to see what this report that Whack-a-Dagpaw Ed Martin puts out. Whack-a-Dagpaw is what Andy McCabe and I call him because he has 3 jobs: weaponization czar, associate deputy attorney general, and pardon attorney.
Whack-a-Dagpaw.
Yeah, which is the Whack-a-Dagpaw at the Department of Justice. Apparently, he's writing a big old report. This is just horrific. All these prosecutors, you guys, the police, FBI people who investigated this, just getting threat after threat after threat. For people convicted of assaulting police who are saying, we just want justice. Ugh. It's so frustrating. I can't imagine how frustrating it is for you.
Yeah,
I wasn't there.
It's angry. Like it's more than just frustrating. It's angry. So
yeah, pissed off is another way to say it, I suppose. All right, we've got more. We're going to talk about Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan after this break. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. You know, we've been following the case of Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan, who was charged by Trump's Justice Department for allegedly helping Mr. Flores-Ruiz evade arrest by ICE agents in her courthouse. She sent Mr. Flores-Ruiz out a door 10 feet away from the main door. He walked right past a couple of agents who didn't do anything, and then down an elevator where he was eventually arrested outside. Now, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel is reporting that a jury did convict Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan of obstructing federal agents, a proceeding, who were seeking to arrest an undocumented immigrant outside her courtroom. In a split verdict delivered late December 18th, the jury acquitted Dugan on the misdemeanor charge of concealing that person from agents. So she didn't hide him, but the jury found that she did obstruct a proceeding. The proceeding of the arrest of this person. Now, Dugan's defense team vowed to appeal the conviction to U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman, who presided over the trial. No sentencing date was set, by the way, which actually is a message in and of itself.
Yeah. Dugan's team is preparing a brief that will ask Judge Edelman to set aside the jury conviction. The government will respond, and then Edelman will rule. Steve Biskupik, one of Dugan's attorneys, said the mixed verdict was a big thing, and he thinks that fact will strengthen the defense's argument to Edelman. Biskupik said the elements of both counts are the same, so he thinks the jury logically should have had the same verdict on both. How can you find guilty there and not guilty on the first count? But that's why we asked for the post-trial briefing, Biskupik said. I would say the case is a long way from over.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the inconsistent verdict route is going to be a very successful route. I was watching Adam Klasfeld talk to Glenn Kirshner about this, and there is actually something called an inconsistent verdict doctrine from a 1932 case called U.S. v. Dunn. Not you,
Okay.
no
Not
relation.
me.
The inconsistent verdict doctrine is that juries are allowed to split a verdict like that because it could have been done in some sort of a negotiation, right? Even if all the elements have to be there for the first count and the same elements for the second count, they can still split that verdict. So I think that they'll have a hard time on appeal with that, but there are multiple avenues of appeal here. There was one thing that happened in the courtroom, Harry, that kind of shocked me because I assumed that Biskupik was a really crackerjack lawyer and he's got a great reputation. But there was a point when a judge that works with Hannah Dugan was on the stand, and the judge said judges shouldn't be interfering with ICE arrests or something like that, which draws a conclusion. Normally, if I'm watching TV, a lawyer would say objects, draws a conclusion, and they would say, yes, jury will disregard that comment. But once they failed to object on that comment, the prosecution, the DOJ, used that quote over and over and over again, hammered on it. They put that quote up next to a picture of Judge Dugan raising her right hand to take an oath. They hammered on that, and it should have been objected, and it should have been disregarded by the jury. And no one ever, even during jury instructions, brought that up to say, hey, you should instruct a jury to disregard that because it draws a legal conclusion. It draws the conclusion that Judge Dugan is guilty. But anyway, Harry, there's lots of other things they can appeal on.
They can do. Yeah, there also is a basis if it appears the jury was confused and rendered misaligned verdicts. That may be one argument Dugan's team will use. Judges are reluctant to overturn juries as the trier of facts in the U.S. judicial system. But there is a path under Rule 29 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Dugan's team filed a motion for acquittal under Rule 29 even before the jury got the case.
Yeah, and that's where this part comes in about there not being a sentencing hearing scheduled, because Edelman didn't schedule it, and Biskupik says that's a sign that the judge would take seriously the motion to overturn the jury verdict. It's really rare, though. Typically, a sentencing date is set as soon as a guilty verdict is delivered. We were all like, where's the verdict? Where's the guilty verdict? But I think it's because the judge is considering this Rule 29 motion for acquittal filed by Dugan's lawyers. Now, Dugan faces up to 5 years in prison on the obstruction count, though first-time offenders convicted of nonviolent crimes like Dugan typically get little or no jail time under federal sentencing guidelines. And our friend Glenn Kirshner said he's 90% sure she'll just get probation here, but there's other consequences.
Sure. Yeah. In 6 hours of deliberations, the jury sent out 3 questions. The first was about the rules around arrests by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, ICE agents, and specifically who would need to be notified for courthouse arrests. The other questions focused on whether Dugan needed to know the identity of the undocumented immigrant ICE was seeking on April 18th for her to be guilty of the counts. The questions were in writing and read in court.
Yep, and there was a split decision on these, on count 1 and count 2 for this, and I think that's probably why this went down that way. So to the concealing charge, Edelman wrote back to the jury that Dugan did have to know the identity over the objection of the prosecutors, which kind of tanked that first count. So Dugan was acquitted on that one. Now, then the jury asked Dugan if they needed to know the identity of the suspect to be guilty on count 2, obstructing a pending proceeding. And that answer was different. After a long deliberation, Edelman wrote back, to know of a pending proceeding, the defendant needed to have sufficient knowledge about the nature of the proceeding. So I think that's where the split came.
God, yeah. The Wisconsin Constitution bars convicted felons from serving in public office, which includes judges. But if her case is being appealed, she be removed or forced to resign? We'll find that out. Republican leaders in the state legislature said December 19th that they would move to impeach Dugan if she does not resign.
Yeah. And given Dugan's conviction and her team's effort to overturn it, it seems certain that whichever way Adelman rules for the first, for or against the defense, the losing side will appeal to the Seventh Circuit, and that will certainly go up to the Supreme Court. Dugan is the first judge to go on trial on such charges, and so this case could create precedent with the Supreme Court as well. So I disagree with this verdict, but I do think it's going to be real hard to overturn it.
Yeah, not only I think we disagree with it, we were shocked by it. You know, we talked about it before, obviously, the decision was made or the jury reached a verdict, and we didn't see a strong case here.
No,
but
we didn't.
that's the people putting faith in the people again.
Not nearly as strong a case as the Pillow Man has to be governor of Minnesota, which we'll talk about after this last break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. All right, like we said, no Rudy news, but you'll remember we told you a couple weeks ago that Pillow Man, Mike Lindell, was running for governor of Minnesota against the beloved Tim Walz. Well, we have an update.
This is just so insane to me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you spend any time on Facebook. I do sometimes because I like to watch the dog and cat reels. Yeah. But it has gotten overrun with MAGA. Like, it's really, really bad. And there's all of these posts like, Tim Walz is going to lose. Pillow Man's going to win Minnesota. He's going to kick his ass. It's going to be a landslide. Like, they really honestly think
this guy's
Pillow Man has a chance in fucking Minnesota. Excuse my French. All right.
Yeah.
Stephen Swanson reports President Trump is now voicing support for Minnesota gubernatorial candidate Mike Lindell, founder and CEO of MyPillow, at his really, really lame rally Friday in North Carolina. I think this is the one where he was talking about Melania's underwear.
Yeah, that was awkward in itself.
They were like saying, why weren't you doing something as president? People accuse me of not doing this thing, but I was busy because the monsters came in and raided Mar-a-Lago, and they went in Melania's underwear drawer, and she's very meticulous. She steams her panties, and he was just going on and on about how he couldn't get stuff done because of this, because the cops were in Melania's underwear drawer. That was 2022. He was not in office. It's just like, what are you talking about, dude?
Unbelievable, man.
Anyway, here's what he said at his North Carolina rally. That man suffered what he did, what he went through, because he knew the election was rigged. And he did it. I mean, he just did it as a citizen. That's what Trump said. These people went after him. They went after his company. They did that with me too, but at least I knew what I was getting into. He was just a guy that said, geez, this election was so crooked. It was rigged. He fought like hell. That's what...
In September, a federal judge ruled against Lindell in a defamation suit filed by Smartmatic, an election technology company, which claimed the businessman falsely accused the company of more than 50 times in a public of helping slant the 2020 election towards former President Joe Biden. That ruling came 3 months after a federal judge found Lindell guilty of defaming a former employee of Dominion Voting Systems in a live stream on his own media platform, calling him a traitor who helped steal the election away from Mr. Trump. In that trial, Lindell said that his pro-Trump activism obliterated his net worth, which he said went from $60 million to $10 million in debt now.
So multiple juries found that he lied about 2020. As Donald Trump is like, he knew what he was talking about. He's genius with his pillows. Wow. Now, on Lindell's campaign website, he notes how he overcame drug abuse and found success with MyPillow, only to have others try to bring him down. We're trying to bring down the pillow company, Harry. Quote, they tried to take away my voice. They targeted my banks and my suppliers. They took my phone, and I run my business on my phone, Lindell said. They didn't just attack me. They also went after my companies and my employees. It didn't work. I'm still standing. Bro, you filed bankruptcy and you were selling cubicle walls.
Yeah.
Out of your office.
And of his office.
And now I want you to know that I'll stand for you as the next governor of Minnesota. Oh, my God. Lindell is among several contenders vying for the endorsement at the state GOP convention this spring, including current Minnesota House Speaker Lisa DeMuth, former state senator and Walz's 2022 challenger Scott Jensen. These are actual politicians, by the way.
Yeah.
State Rep Kristen Robbins, businessman Kendall Qualls, and defense attorney Chris Medell.
Minnesota hasn't elected a Republican governor since 2002 when Tim Pawlenty beat Democrat Roger Moe and independent party candidate Tim Penny. Remember those names from 24 years ago?
No, I do not. I didn't realize Minnesota had a blue governor for the last 24 years.
Yeah.
Tim Walz is beloved.
Yeah,
in
they
Minnesota.
love him.
He got free lunches for kids. He's done so many things. He's reached across the aisle so many times and just gotten shit done for Minnesotans. For Pillowman to come in, I mean, I think he's from there, so he's not a carpetbagger, a pillowbagger.
Pillowbagger.
But like, dude didn't pay his rent on his Minnesota factories. They got shut down. I mean,
yeah.
It's so the victimhood mentality of these MAGA Republicans that their abject failures for being fucking idiots are somehow everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
Is just, it never ends. It never ends, Harry.
Yeah.
He's not going to probably even win the primary. What do you think? I think he's going to come in with under 3% of the vote. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I believe that he's going to, I think that he's going to have to suspend his campaign because he doesn't have any money. Like, I don't see, how can people contribute to that? Like, serious Republicans, like, not MAGA, but they're not going to contribute to him. I see him suspending his campaign.
I see him stealing in order to make the minimum to get party money in the state, a lot like Andy Ogles did and George Santos did.
I can see that. I can see that.
By going to the George Santos School of Campaign Funding. You know how like some comedians teach comedy classes? They're like, come on down. I'll teach you the George Santos way of security. Eric Adams did it in New York.
Eric Adams did it in New York. Yep.
But he couldn't get the matching funding. So I see him breaking a couple more laws on his way to get his ass kicked to run for
I mean,
governor.
like the people that you named are, I mean, you know, I don't know where their policies are, but they're definitely formidable politicians because the House Speaker, you know, Lisa DeMuth, former state senator, and somebody who lost to Tim Walz already, so who's made it to the general election. So.
Yeah, I actually think probably Scott Jensen will win again, if not Lisa DeMuth. And I think in the primary, I think that Lindell will garner less than 3% of the vote. It's just funny to me to watch MAGA people so delusioned that they're saying out loud on social media, he's going to win in a landslide. I don't know. It's going to be a nice bit of, it's like a little free schadenfreude for us.
Yeah. And I also think that 3% that you mentioned, AG, that also kind of lets our listeners know and everybody know that they are very loud, but it's not a lot of them. So, you know, have a little bit of hope with that.
There was only a couple hundred people that showed up to Trump's North Carolina rally. They panned back and showed the shot. That's true for his campaign rallies, though, leading up to 2024. Which still makes me question the outcome of that election. But
you and everybody else, AG.
Yeah, I know. I need to get my tinfoil hats too far away for me to put on, and we're not doing video for this audio podcast anyway. But Harry, thanks so much. It's always good to see you, my friend. We had a blast with our patrons at our happy hour.
Oh, it was such a good
this
time.
Past Friday. And you popping in from that party to like have Olivia Troy say hi and Jim Acosta say hi. Who else did you pop
Michael
in?
Fanone and Daniel Hodges. Yeah.
Danny.
Tara Setmayer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tara Stepmayer is great. That was just I was super jealous. Next year you got to invite me to that party. my friend.
Absolutely. We'll do.
But that was fun. So if you're thinking about becoming a patron, that's the kind of shenanigans we get into on Friday nights in our monthly
It was
happy
fun.
hours. So you can sign up at patreon.com/aisle45pod, AISLE45POD. Support independent media. Go to hell, CBS. And I don't know. Those are my final thoughts. Do you have any, my friend?
I like that. Go to hell, CBS. Support independent media. We couldn't do it without y'all. We say that every week, and we mean it. It's the truth. Everybody out there, whatever holiday you're celebrating, hope you have love in your heart. And know that if nobody else in this world loves you, these two voices in your ear right now, we love the hell out of you.
We love you.
We love you, and we thank you so much for supporting us.
Yeah, and check out Harry's Substack and Pores and Perspectives. You don't
Pores
want to miss
and
it.
Perspectives. Yes.
Great stuff coming up on that. So thank you, my friends, everybody. We will see you. I don't think we're doing a bonus episode this week. Maybe we can. No, I don't know. Are we?
I think we can. I think we could squeeze it. We'll see.
We could squeeze
Maybe we'll make something work. It'll be some type of message out there for our patrons who we love.
We'll figure something out for you. And then, of course, we'll see you on the public episode next Wednesday. Everybody take care. I'm Allison Gill.
Harry Dunn. Thanks, y'all.
Cleanup on Aisle 45 is written, researched, and produced by Allison Gill, with editing by Molly Hockey. Our art and logo design are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios, and our music is composed and performed by Adam Orr. Cleanup on Aisle 45 is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.